Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday here at the Progress Report with me, your host, Dee Sage. Today, for my co-host, I have my good friend, Jaden.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here, Jaden.
I couldn't say no.
No? I'm glad you haven't said no.
Even if I wanted to.
Oh my. So much. Does my heart good. And we have a special guest today. We have Brianna Henrys, who is running for public office here in Rhode Island. And I had a wonderful quick conversation with her earlier today. And I cannot wait to get in some questions, dig in, and start talking about some wonderful things. But before we begin, I got to talk about something outrageous. So outrageously, well, I'm not going to say outrageously. I mean, they have their right. They have their voice too. But LGBT Trump supporters held a rally with no mask. They held it in Tennessee at a distillery. Oh, the gays and their liquor. I mean, seriously. You had to hold it at a distillery. They wore no masks. They were very close. In other words, sounds like a good old glory hole time, I guess. I don't know, what was going on there, guys. Seriously, stop. 50. They were 50. A woman was quoted saying, "I have never been in a room with so many gay conservatives." Obviously, that woman has never been to a bathhouse or P-Town. Or Texas. Or, I don't know, a Republican convention. Because there's a lot of them there. They're all in the closet. How you doing, Lindsey Graham? Anyway,
You're bad.
What? He works my nerves, and he's always trying to come up with something and do all this crazy stuff and say all these crazy things. But
he's trying.
I mean, seriously, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll be honest, and here's a little fact about Dee Sage. Back when Dee Sage was 18, up until he was about 21, Dee Sage was what you consider a log cabin Republican.
You mean you're not 21?
No, I'm not 21.
Oh.
I'm 22.
Oh.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah, 22 plus 11. But but no, I was a log cabin Republican. But I was more of a liberal Republican. I believe in conservative, fiscal conservative responsibility. But as I've gotten older and studied and learned more, and now I've become a little bit more liberal. Not as much progressive.
If we just follow the law, it'll all be fine, right?
That is
where
true.
You were.
Yeah. That is true. If we all follow the law, it'll all be fine.
It'll be fine.
But you know what bothers me most though, Jaden, about people not wanting to wear a mask? They're always talking about their rights but nobody ever wants to talk about their responsibility to other human beings. I mean, yeah, we have our inalienable rights to be free. We have our rights to be who we are and things like that. But what is also our responsibility? So with something like a pandemic, I think our one responsibility is to the next person that's next to us, being sure that we wear our mask. When we wear a mask, being sure we're getting tested, being sure we're not going outside without any symptoms or anything like that. So.
I think it just shows the selfishness of humanity. How selfish we can be to think about me all the time. But what about the little girl next door who has immunodeficient
right.
issues?
Well, people don't think about that. People don't. I realized one thing in my 22 years of life plus 11. I realized that people a lot of times don't tend to think about others. They think about themselves first, which is, you do have to take care of yourself, but also I think we also have a responsibility to each other. But the person who has the biggest responsibility in all this is the President of the United States.
And I don't disagree.
You refuse to have a debate. You get COVID. First of all, you get COVID. And I talked about this last week. I'm going to talk about it again, and I'm going to keep driving this, and hopefully those people who are still undecided in this election, they will make their decision. I mean, let's be real. The president said this was a hoax, said it wasn't here. Then he said it would be here and gone tomorrow. He didn't want to shut the government down, was reluctant to do that, finally started shutting the government down, and then wanted to rush to reopen the government and led many states such as Florida, Texas, Georgia, Las Vegas, cities like Las Vegas, led them to influx. And then come to find out, he knew when he spoke to was it Bob Woodward? He spoke to Bob Woodward and said that he knew that this was going to be a deadly virus. He knew that he had the phone call and knew how bad this was going to be.
But what about when he said that, you know, he doesn't believe what Fauci has to say because it's science? Why would he believe science?
So now it comes to question, did you really get COVID, dude? Did you really get COVID, or did you make this as a political ploy to... Because if you're saying
real. It's real.
It's real. COVID's real, but it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's not that bad. Well, I know people who have had COVID, Mr. President, and they told me that it's bad. It's something that you don't ever want. Nobody wants it or anything like that.
And even if it wasn't that bad, he has access to the finest health care.
That's true.
In the nation.
He's the
other countries in the world.
He's the president of the United States. He has some of the top doctors
for him.
He has top doctors.
Reserved for him. 24 hours.
Right. Top doctors. I mean, so. Anyway, guys, if you are watching right now, I'm asked that you take some time out and just share this video, please. And also like our Facebook page and visit our website at www.theprogresschannel.com. For more information that's coming. We have a bunch of information. We have a bunch of things that are coming up.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We have our election night coming up. Our election night coverage, a 2-hour special coming up. I can't wait for that night. Oh yeah, we're bringing in all the big players.
I always learn so much.
All the big players. Listen, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama will all not be here. Okay, just don't want to spoil it for you. They won't be here, but we will have that night. We have people like our good friend Taylor Neptune. We'll have Brett Jacob. We'll have, we have so many people coming in, so I can't wait for that show to come up. So stay tuned for that
Brett Jacob show. Just saying.
I'm
Brett Jacob, if you're watching, I've been waiting.
He watches. He's watching.
I know. He better be watching.
He knows I'm looking for him.
Support your local gays.
All right, so we got some topics we can talk about today. Some other topics. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Lay on me.
I got some things I want to ask you your opinion on. So, Joe Biden makes a pledge to trans people. I believe trans lives matters. 29-year-old Sarah Blackwood was shot to death last week in Indianapolis, Indiana, making her the third known trans woman to be killed in 2020, the deadliest year on the record for trans and non-binary people. You and I actually met this year at Rhode Island Pride's Trans Lives Matters rally.
Yes.
Trans Lives Matters rally.
Yes, that's where we met.
That's exactly where we met. And so, first, go ahead and talk freely about it. Say.
It's frustrating. It's so frustrating because the first thing that I see people respond on this murder is, oh, well, was she involved with doing anything badly? Like, first of all, why do we need to justify someone's death? She was murdered. It doesn't matter what she was doing. She was murdered. And second, yeah, it was specifically because she was trans.
Yeah.
And where, trans individuals, myself speaking, we're not sitting here like yelling at people, hey, I'm trans, come kill me. It's people that are like following us and stalking us, like social medias. They'll see us on there and they'll say, okay, I know when this person goes to work because they're posting it on social media. I'm going to follow them. I'm going to take this one out, especially in Midwestern areas and Southern areas where it's not as progressive.
I mean, don't just say those areas because let's be real.
Happen here.
It happens in places like New York. It happens in New England, places like that as well. But Joe Biden says violence against transgender and gender nonconforming people, particularly black and brown transgender women, is an epidemic that needs national leadership. These deaths do not exist within a vacuum. Dehumanizing government actions and rhetoric, as well as a failure to address the risk factors like domestic and inmate partner violence, underemployment and unemployment and poverty, housing insecurity, and health disparities put this community at risk. As president, he says, I will put forth comprehensive solutions to help empower the transgender and gender nonconforming community and prioritize the persecution of anti-transgender violence. My administration will enact the Equality Act to end legal discrimination against LGBT people. Expand economic opportunities for LGBTQ plus people, reform our treatment of transgender and gender nonconforming individuals in our criminal justice system, ensure access to accurate identification documents, and improve government data collection to better track violence against the transgender community. I believe that trans lives matter, and as president, I will fight on behalf of every vulnerable person in the country.
I mean, you got to get into office before any of that could even happen.
Right.
And although, you know, he was right there supporting Obama, it was Obama who did that. Mm-hmm. So I need actions. And are you going out to LGBTQ events? I mean, obviously COVID right now, so that's not happening. But are you helping organizations? Are you trying to put the initiative out there instead of just saying, hey, I care about the community, which was the same thing Trump did when he held the rainbow flag upside down.
I agree. I agree with the former vice president when he says that we do need national leadership on this.
Of course.
This is something that has happened for years. I'll never forget watching the documentary Paris is Burning when I was
I just watched that this year.
Yeah? Oh, when I was a young gay. I watched it when I was a young gay. So yesterday. But I had watched that movie, and I'll never forget there was a person in the documentary when they had cut for the break and they came back about, I think it was 2 years later, they weren't there anymore and they were found killed into a motel. And when you watch shows such as Pose, that's actually how one of the characters on Pose had died. And those are true things that happen to people who are in the trans community,
specifically trans women of color.
Specifically trans women of color. I also like what he says when he talks about underemployment and unemployment and poverty. When he says that piece right there,
huge.
That is huge. That is huge.
Specifically because the biggest hit that trans women, specifically trans women, take is, you know, you're being a sex worker. Why don't you go get a job somewhere else?
Right.
Well, because they're getting discriminated against in those places. And they don't have legal rights to that because Trump has taken away our rights for that. You know, it's legal for them to discriminate against you.
It is.
In the United States.
It is. It is illegal for them to discriminate
They can say whatever they want.
Right.
And now it's fine. Of course, you can have a
court
case.
But it's also the other issue I think it is the rhetoric. I feel like our trans brothers and sisters get the same rhetoric that I would get as a black man. That, oh, you're overqualified, or we're not looking for you we're not looking for someone right now, or things like that.
You're not fit for this
or
position.
You're not fit for this position.
Right.
You're not the exact fit for this position. And so, yeah, I mean, I say we hold him to his word, America. We hold him to his word.
I'm waiting.
Exactly.
Y'all got to vote, though.
We do got to get out and vote.
Yeah.
We really have to get out and vote.
It's coming.
We really have to get out and vote. So tying in with this, if you don't mind if we stay on the topic, police cracked jokes while trans woman bled on the floor after a horrifying transphobic attack in her home. Kendall Steffens, a community advocate and Temple University student, was brutally attacked by a group of people in her home in August this year. The 34-year-old was studying and enjoying a quiet night with her two goddaughters, aged 12 and 16, when she heard a fight breaking out outside her house in South Philadelphia. When the group refused to disperse, she called emergency services, but one of the women turned on her and punched her in the face. The attacker and her friends then forced their way into Steffens' house to continue the assault. Recalling the attack in the interview with Human Rights Campaign, Steffens said, "I ended up in my own dining room getting attacked by 4 women at all sides of me, and then suddenly one of the women picked up a wooden decorative platter and began hitting me about my head and face, causing me to become concussed and blacked out momentarily. Throughout the attack, the women refused to refer to me as a man, Throughout the attack, the women referred to me as a man and tranny. The assault did not end there. Several men stormed in the home as well and pulled them away, but did not pull them away before getting a few hits in well and calling me the N-word and an effing tranny.
In her home.
So here's what makes this big. This is what makes this big. When the police arrived, however, they had little sympathy for the trans woman who had been brutally beaten. The responding police officers were very unhelpful, and they were belligerent. They're very unhelpful. And Steffens says they were belligerent and unsympathetic and refused to arrest one of my attackers, who I ID'd them. She was a few doors down, continued to hurl transphobic slurs while they were there.
And where did you say this was again?
Philadelphia. South Philadelphia.
It's just another one. And trying to justify and say that it's not specifically because of their gender identity, I don't understand how you could say that it's not.
At the end of the day, anybody that reports a crime, nobody should get beat up and attacked in their own home, and the police should take it serious.
Instead of her going to the hospital, she goes to the police, and they don't take her serious. So then she goes to the hospital.
Then she went to the hospital. They didn't take her serious when she was there at her home, and they did not take her serious when she went to the police station at all. That is just alarming. It's completely out. And then they wonder why people want to defund the police.
Thank you. I was thinking.
Then you wonder why people want to defund the police. Completely. Listen, the police departments don't work for everyone. Okay, to all the Blue Lives Matter people out there, because I know I have some trolling me. I've seen some of your emails, as a matter of fact.
I've definitely got some on here tonight.
Seen some of your emails, in fact. It's okay. How you doing? You can hate me now. But anyway, you guys have to realize that it's because the police department doesn't work fairly for everyone. The justice system doesn't work fairly for everyone. And this is the problem that we're having as a community. This is the problem we're having as minorities and marginalized people.
This dehumanization. What makes her any different? She's a human. Right. Why?
Absolutely right. A human being. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we got to take a little break.
Sip some tea.
And let you guys marinate on it. Okay? But we'll be right back. I promise.
My name is Alex Kithis, and I'm running for re-election to the Woonsocket City Council. I felt called to run last year because I was raised in our amazing community, and I've seen what happens when a government is not willing to acknowledge the real struggles being faced by everyday people and think boldly and act creatively in order to fix them in ways that put people first. I grew up in a family of working class Greek immigrants, and we definitely felt the struggles that come along with that, just like I think a lot of people in our city do. I was a student at the high school when we reached that budgetary breaking point, and we had to fight just to keep basic programs alive. This type of economic inequality is something that a lot of folks in Woonsocket face, whether it's through education, through trying to find a home, or just trying to put food on the table. And right now, we're at a turning point in history where our neighbors of color are fighting against systemic racism and injustice. And all of this is against the backdrop of a really devastating global pandemic and a climate crisis that are both already harming people in our community more severely. So we need city councilors who are truly accountable to the people in Woonsocket, who are willing to fight for all of us for a better today and a livable future. And we need elected leaders who are actually going to lead, who are going to think boldly instead of just trying the same old ideas. I've fought and advocated for our community through my first term in office. So vote for me, Alex Kithis, and we can continue this fight together.
Hello, and we're back. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's, went and freshened up their tea. I'm drinking some prickly pear, and you got some apple something. Apple Serengeti or something like that.
Sarsaparilla. Sarsaparilla, maybe?
I don't know.
Maybe Spanish.
Hey.
Sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla.
Oh, it's one of those days.
It's just one of those days. It's been a long week. It's been a very long week. So I have a very wonderful special guest, and you know, I feel like I probably known her my whole life. So Brianna Henrys was born in Providence, raised in Warwick, and has settled in East Providence. Raised by a single mother, Brianna learned how to be resourceful, resilient, and tenacious. She is a Native American, African American, and Cape Verdean descendant. Brianna's passions in life are education and the arts. She is a theater teacher at Valiant Art Studio, serves in ministry, amen, and creates social media content. Teachers growing up always told her that she was incredibly bright, but that she talked too much. A proud classical high school alumna, she's ready to take her smarts and her gift of gab to the State House to create a long-lasting change. Brianna Henry says, I believe we, the people, should actually mean just that. Our voices shouldn't be muted by corruption and a wealthy few. I will be the champion of the sick and tired. I will fight for quality education, livable wages, and equity for all. Not just for our future, but for right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you State Representative candidate for District 64, Brianna Henrys.
Hello.
Hello, Brianna. How you doing?
Great. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming in and having a chat with us. And question that I ask all the candidates, how is the campaign trail going?
Well, my campaign trail ended back in September. I had just a primary, thankfully.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, so I'm all done, but I still have my hands kind of in the middle of other people's campaigns, helping out other members of the political co-op. So it's been fun. Nice.
So it says that your teacher said that you talk too much. They used to say the same thing about me. Right? Looking back, do you think this is a critique? This is a critique, or were they putting out a talent?
You know, it depends on who you ask and on which day of the week. But I honestly can say, as I've gotten older, when I was younger, it felt awfully like a critique. It felt like one of those things like, we can't get her to stop talking. How do we get her to stop talking? But as I've gotten older, I've realized that I'm talking for a reason. It's not hot air. So it's been really cool to grow into this special gift of mine, to be able to talk to people. People have said numerous things. These aren't even my own words, but just that, you know, being able to command a room, being able to teach people. These are things that I'm just like naturally gifted at. So I guess that comes with the task of being a talker.
Nice. I mean, I think when you talk, you're just letting out your ideas and trying to put good energy into the, I don't know, maybe.
100%.
Or you're just intimidating.
Yeah. Huh?
Or she's intimidating because, you're too loud. Calm yourself down.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, lots of that. Lots of those ideologies around, needing to be quieter in spaces. And I just kind of refused.
Nice.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Rhode Island Political Cooperative and what exactly it is? How does it work? How has it helped you?
Yeah, so the Rhode Island Political Co-op was like this happy accident that landed into my life. It is a great initiative that was created by some really awesome people after facing some really harsh rejection from the political world here in Rhode Island. They kind of came together and realized that they wanted to create pretty much a way or pathway for other people like them to be able to run for office. People like myself, someone who's worked in retail most of my life, giving them the tools and the resources to be able to be successful in the political world to create actual tangible change. So it was actually co-created by Jennifer O'Rourke, who was running this past primary. Janine Culkin, who is now state Senate elect in her district, Matt Brown, and Melanie DuPont, who is also a candidate that ran during this election. So it's been really cool to have like a group of people that are cheering you on. And to be honest with you, if I didn't have that cooperative or that family kind of backing, I don't know that I would have been as successful, because there's something about the power of togetherness. Something that I said at the doors a lot to people was like, imagine if politics was collaborative. Like, imagine if we were together. And that's exactly what the co-op is. It's like people coming together, not necessarily agreeing on every single thing, but having this desire and passion to make change. And that's powerful enough.
Right.
Compromise and unity.
The pandemic has shown us our most marginalized communities. I'm gonna start this question over. I'm sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied tonight. The pandemic has shown us that our most marginalized communities are also our most vulnerable. What is your plan to address that?
So as someone who sits in a couple of those categories, it's kind of hard to ignore what that looks like. I definitely feel like in my campaign, I spoke a lot to being able to kind of help people out and lift them up and empower them. I think in my race alone, being able to encourage people to be more civically engaged was like one thing, and getting them more involved is another. And I think right now my big focus has been using this moment of power to actually leverage some of the resources and organizations out there that can actually help these groups. So when we talk about inequities, it goes across the board. We're talking small businesses, we're talking education and redlining, we're talking all types of disparities with the healthcare system. All those things have to be talked about, but we have to get the right people involved. So I'm hoping that by me kind of kicking the door down and being the unexpected in this world, I can bring people alongside with me to come to these tables and have more of these conversations and keep the ball moving forward for progress.
Great.
And I need a little sippy sip. So your campaign page, says you have worked in the ministry. Since the majority of our viewers are LGBTQIA+, can you tell them how your faith views LGBTQIA+?
So yeah, I was raised non-denominational Christian. And I like to keep this simple because I think it's so easy, especially in our world now where we have like the evangelicals kind of preaching one version of Christianity versus what the reality is. And the Christianity that I came to know is being able to follow in the footsteps of Christ. And when I think about that, and if you look at the stories, we talk about unconditional love, and we talk about being able to love thy neighbor. As hallmarky as that sounds, that's pretty much the basic principle. And that's what I've come to know. That's what I've come to treasure in my beliefs. So, I mean, I've taken the path of being an ally to the community. It's one of those things where it's not even a question. Like, I never even thought about it. Even being raised as this little Jesus freak Bible thumper, it never even crossed my mind to like discriminate against anybody for that reason. So, Jesus hung out with sex workers, Jesus hung out with the poor, Jesus hung out with the lepers. So it's no different. And if I'm to be like him and claim that as my faith, then that means I'm gonna do the same.
So, like, following up with that question, because myself, we share that spiritual belief, but I also identify as a gay man as well. I was ordained as a minister in 2015 here in Rhode Island under my bishop. I now serve at Powerhouse. Well, no, I don't serve as a minister at Powerhouse just yet, but I just became a member at Powerhouse Church, which is an open LGBT non-denominational church led by Pastor Jody Allison. As someone of faith, how do you feel about these now LGBTQ plus Christian churches popping up, not just here in Boston and in Rhode Island, but also all over the nation?
No, I think that it's like, I dare I say it's about damn time, like the one thing that's really frustrating that I've had growing up, because I had friends of so many different faiths, and like I've had such a reverence for so many other practices like the, Islam and Judaism, Buddhism, even, like I've loved all those teachings. I've come to understand a lot about those as well. So I'm not just, in one lane. But when I come to think about like church and, Christianity, the church is but a building. It's the people that build the faith. It's the people that build the church, that create the worship, that create those moments that give the glory to God. So it's not really so much about structure and hierarchy. I've left a lot of church spaces because that's gotten in the way. Don't get it twisted. Christians don't always get it right. And I'm sure y'all know that. But, it's one of those things where when I think about it, I'm like, it's got nothing to do with, the titles and the labels and the building. It's got everything to do with what you come to know in your faith journey with God, like what you walk in, So that's kind of like, it's so like for some people they're like, oh, that's a little like, that's out there for me. And I'm like, sure. But like at the end of the day, if you have that relationship, because that's the other thing, relationship over religion, there's a difference. And you'll see that really easily. The people who practice religion are the ones that are like casting people out. It's not those who have the relationship. Because if you have a relationship with God, you know that in your own imperfection, you can't judge others. There is no, oh, okay, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. Trust me, I'm just as broken as the next one.
It's like I've said recently and plenty of times on Coffee
with Dee. Goosebumps. That was just the best response. Thank you for that.
That was the best response. But it's I say it all the time on Coffee with Dee. I have come to realize like the church has become a broken entity and it's full of a lot of rejection. And if we are to spread God's love, we need to get rid of that rejection and allow people to come to God as they are and allow God to fix people. Allow God to do the work. That's how we fix the church. And people got to realize at the end of the day, and I'm going to get a little churchy with you because I feel like I could do this with you a little bit. At the end of the day, when we stand before judgment, I can't answer for Brianna. Brianna can't answer for Dee. So you need to work on your own soul salvation. In other words, mind your business and get your relationship with God. Glory. Hallelujah.
It costs $3.99 to mind your business.
Yes.
I just think it's gotten to the point where people are using religion as an excuse to not share their cake.
Right.
They don't want to share their cake.
I mean, we got the whole thing with Justice Barrett.
We're going to have all the cake in the end, so.
I said Justice Barrett. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, it's going to happen. She's going to be a justice. Unfortunately. I'm sorry, guys. It's the truth. I didn't mean to speak in existence, but it's going to happen. You have people like Justice Barrett who continually said when she was asked the question on LGBT, well, because according to her faith and, my faith principles and was kept talking about over the years, her faith. And my thing is, America was built on the principle that everyone has an inalienable right. Everyone has an inalienable right to God, in the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And those are inalienable rights given to us by God, by our creators. So,
since we're speaking of justice, just want to say that if there's anything that we should learn from her, I just recently watched her documentary that they released, and her views weren't always the same. She learned along the way. She taught herself, and she was willing to be open.
You're talking about Justice Ginsburg.
Yes,
Justice Ginsburg.
She was willing to be open with that and say, "Hey, I was wrong about that. This is how it should be."
Right.
Just own up to that. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. All right. So, I like that question. Yeah, I didn't even see that question there. I let you look at the questions first.
I said this is important to me, so I'm asking this.
Yes, because Jaden and I have this conversation constantly about faith in the LGBTQ community, and like I tell people, I'm someone who faithfully prays, read my Bible, scripture. I would listen to Tasha Cobbs. That's my girl. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, so we gotta talk some more. Anyway, the next question I have for you, I lost my place. One of the key platforms you're running on is universal healthcare. Opponents of this talk about the cost of it. How do you see universal healthcare working financially?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think my biggest thing with this is that there's so many speculations that are based off of fear or inaccuracy. And I had a conversation with Jennifer Rourke, who is one of the co-founders, as I mentioned earlier.
Jennifer's wonderful. Jennifer's absolutely wonderful. I met Jennifer at a Washington Park community meeting, and we briefly got into it, a little debate back and forth, but by the time we left that meeting, we had a respect for one another, and we had about an hour conversation in the parking lot about politics.
Don't you love that?
I love that.
That's how we met.
Huh?
It was the same thing. Like, we just ended up having an hour conversation about religion.
Yep, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where all the best conversations happen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brianna. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No, I believe that's the case all the time. I think in disagreement, you can find some type of unity. There's some bottom line always. But
exactly.
One of the things she mentioned, because, I was talking to her when I was first running my campaign, I said, I'm going to get to these doors and people are going to say this. They're going to say, how are we paying for this? They're going to see that their taxes are going up. And she broke this down for me. So just bear with me on this quick math lesson. I'm not pulling these numbers from out of anywhere. I'm actually using these numbers from her. And so she was saying to me that a family of 6, right? They were paying about $1,000 a month to have their health insurance and their coverage. And then in addition to that, they had I think it was $13,500 for the deductible. Over the course of a year, you're looking at $26,000 for a family to be insured, which is crazy. And that's just before their insurance actually fully kicks in and covers for them. When she looked at it, she goes, well, we can pay $26,000 or we can have our taxes go up and only have to pay $4,000 in taxes. So I don't know about you, but there's a huge gap of $22,000 in the middle there. And at the end of the day, I think people think, what's mine is mine. And they think that everyone's going to be in this struggle position. But that extra $22,000 that family isn't spending in insurance by having single payer healthcare allows the economy to be boosted and then puts all the money, and it starts to rotate around more evenly than what it is now. Right now, the way that we're going continually is the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So in doing something like single payer healthcare or universal healthcare, you're looking at being able to take out that middleman and reduce the fact that shareholders get all these extra bonuses and all these cuts and these tax credits, and that the people, the working class, especially those who need the healthcare, are actually finally covered, and all of that financial responsibility gets laid off from the government.
So, there's countries that this is working in, such as Canada. New Zealand. You look at New Zealand and what Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern did with the coronavirus, and their universal health care program was just absolutely amazing. They were down in the single digits within 2 weeks, where you don't really hear about New Zealand in the news. You don't see any spikes or anything like that.
Exactly.
So I think that if we move to. And it's crazy because I'm one of those people. Okay, well, let's see the financial portion of this, and then sitting down looking at other countries and say, wait a minute, if this has worked around the world in other countries, why can't we do it here in America, which is
exactly that. And so I think
greed.
that's the thing.
Right, you're absolutely right. Just simple capitalist greed. That's money.
So, I have another question for you. You said the biggest challenge Rhode Island faces is political corruption. Many that have come before you have said the same thing and end up leaving the state house or succumbing to the corruption. What makes you different, and how are you going to fight the corruption in the state house?
So, Rhode Island is known for being corrupt.
Since day one.
Since we've been that person. That's us. In fact, I had many relatives be like, I don't know that you want to get involved in Rhode Island politics. It's really dirty. You might want to back out of this. And I'm not gonna lie, for a second, I got really nervous, but I'm going to say it like this, and I hope this doesn't come across as cocky to the viewers, but I'm just cut from a different cloth. I'm not going to be the type to just be like, oh my God, you said all the right things and now you're cutting a check for me. I've known myself to be this version of myself my entire life. Who I was raised by, what I've become as a woman, just as a person in general, I don't think would allow for me to just bend over backwards and let corruption take me. You know what I mean? So it would have to be a real sweet pot to make me turn. But my loyalty to my constituents, to my people. The reason why I got into this wasn't for my own interest. I'm a retail manager. I sell lipstick for a living and I teach theater. I have nothing to gain. You know what I mean? And like most people are like, well, you could get cut a real nice check and that could change. That's never been how I was raised. Like we were not raised to idolize material things. I just was never that person. So you could write a whole lot of zeros and it's going to be just that, a lot of zeros. For me, my biggest thing is I want to have more people empowered to be more civically engaged. I want people to see what I've done, as crazy as I thought it was, and go, you know what? I can do that too. And that is the power that people are afraid of. It's easy to write a check. It's harder to erase a voice.
That's right. That's right. You know, it's so crazy because Brianna and I were talking earlier and we found out that, you know, her grandparents have been my neighbors for the longest time. And I'm sitting here listening to you talk and, you know, your grandfather would have been very proud to hear the way you're talking. I'm going to say that just that right there, you sounded just like your grandfather right there. And it just absolutely amazing. The honorable Mr. Henry, the honorable Mr. Henry. I love that guy. That was one of my favorite people. He actually taught me things about politics. So
yeah,
I'm sorry, I had to share that with the viewers. It's such
a wonderful thing. Like we were talking about, it's a small world.
Yes,
we had no idea, and then I was like, wait, what do you mean?
Yeah. For years, my whole life. So I have one more question for you and I think this goes right into, we're talking about what we were just talking about, political corruption, things like that. So you have you've been very vocal about your stance against the establishment. And speaking of establishment, where do you stand on Speaker Mattiello maintaining the House Speaker seat if he gets reelected?
So if it's up to me, it's not going to happen. People have asked, like, and I'll say this, I know that there's like all these like mystified, you know, buzzes and whispers and rumors about, you know, how vicious he is. And I know that, you know, whatever. But I worked so hard to get those 721 votes to go ahead and screw it up with the one for him. So I'm not going to let my constituents down when I told them that I would go up against the establishment, that I would tell them that the status quo no longer, to go and get all those votes, to earn all that, the blood, the sweat, and the actual tears. Because let me tell you, your girl cried through the campaign. It's hard to do that and then turn around and tell the people, like, I'm just gonna, you know, go along to get along. That's not why I got into this.
So with that said, because once the pandemic, and this is a question that one of my panelists had during the primary election, and it said, and I thought about this, you know, during the pandemic, the House didn't convene, the House of Representatives didn't convene in the state, nor did the senators convene. Right, their job is to get our voices to administration. If something like this pandemic happens again, would you push leadership to convene, even if it's via Zoom or however they need to convene?
Absolutely. I think like we live, don't get me on a pulpit. We live in a day and age where we like, look at this right now. You are having a conversation with me perfectly fine through Zoom. We are getting major conversation, you know, dialogue is happening, ideas are being exchanged. That could happen. Like we're in such a, like we're going around with like actual computers in our hands for phones.
Yes, you're right.
And you're telling me that we can have our gambling be mobilized, but we can't have our government be mobilized? Like that just don't make no sense.
I agree.
And so I would
two last questions. These are my fun questions.
Okay.
I have for you. Okay.
Like fun.
So, right now, because it's starting to get cool out, it's rainy, dreary, and a lot of times people like to sit next to a nice something, like wrap up in a blanket and grab their comfort food and eat it. What is your comfort food right now?
Oh, my comfort food right now. Okay, so this is big shout out to my mom, who is like literally the beacon in my life. She makes this dish called spinach dish. It is the ultimate comfort food. I've been eating it since I was a kid. It is just everything you want. It's ooey, it's gooey, it's tasty, it's, fills the belly. So I would say if I could have it, specifically her making it. Like, I can cook, but you know how moms are.
Yeah,
like,
you never touch
same.
mom.
Not the
Listen,
same.
my mom came to visit from Dallas, and I said, "Mom, I need you to make sticky chicken." She looked at me. She says, "You know how to make sticky chicken?" Yeah, it's all right. Not compared to yours, it's all right. So, okay. Mom, just make it for me.
It hits different.
It hits different.
It's made with love.
Right.
It's made with mom love.
Yeah.
Seeing how you and I both connected on Tasha Cobbs, what is your favorite Tasha Cobbs song right now?
Oh my God. Oh gosh. She comes up in my thing. Why can't I think of the song? When she did the Elevation remix album. Why can't I think of the name of the song? Why can't I think of the name of the song? It's one of my favorites too. Well, but Elevation did the Collective.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the album. She did a track on there, and I can't even think of the name, and it's bothering me, and I'm gonna go blast it as soon as I get off now because
that's fine. Just go inbox me, because right after this, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be friends on Facebook. Inbox me, say, "Hey, Dee, this is what it was.
This is the song." This is the song on that album, and I already love the song by Elevation, but she went ahead and just straight up like murdered it.
Listen, so the other day I gotta give you some songs, Jaden, by her. The song "This Is a Move." She was just, I just lost it. I'm in the shower and I'm just lost it. I was like, I started praising and all this stuff. Just lost it completely. But
that is another good one. This is
that
the
is
movie.
a good one. And For Your Glory.
Here As in Heaven. Here As in Heaven, and it's Tasha Cobbs, and because I had to look it up before I left. Yeah, Tasha is the one who's doing it, and it's just Here As in Heaven by Elevation is just a really grounding, like spirit-filled, like just puts you on your behind type song, and she goes in with her vocals and just messes it up.
Nice. So Brianna, congratulations on winning your primary. You're going to win your general automatically. So congratulations on being the representative for that district. If there's any way that I can help, please let me know. I do hope to have you back on at some point. So let me give you, because at the progress report, me being a former teacher myself, I like to give grades. So I'm going to give you an A-. I'm going to give you A-, okay? I don't give A's. You can earn the A. You can, by seeing what you do. When January 2020 comes, and that day, know this: I'm going to be sitting there and taking notes and making and you'll hear from me.
I'll be ready. I'm that type. I'm like, teachers in my school, they would be the type too. They're like, I don't give A+, and I'm like, you've never met me then. So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that A+.
So Brianna, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in and sitting and having a discussion with Jaden and I and talking to our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So everyone, we'll be right back after this quick message. Hello, everyone, and I'm back. That was an awesome talk with Brianna.
Yes.
Awesome talk.
I feel so relieved.
I just want to say this. We've been criticized that we haven't had any fun on the progress report in a while. I mean, we had Ricky here. He did his special segment. Taylor did his special segment with the fashion. So I made our producer, Ken, go out and find somebody for us to have a little fun with. Have a little fun with us and do something for us. So he went out and got a local drag queen who was a bartender to make us a seasonal drink.
I'm glad he got a queen because
me too.
You ain't gonna have no fun with a king over here.
I mean, it depends on who the king is. I mean, but anyway,
you were already the king. So.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I can't be the king again. Moving on. So without further ado, Margot Channing is going to show us how to make a tasty fall time drink.
Hey kids, it's me, Margot Channing, the boozy chanteuse, and I'm so excited to be here on the progress report with Dee Sage. And they asked me to do a cocktail of the week for them, so I'm really thrilled to have been asked to be a part of this. So kids, I came up with a fabulous drink. It's called the Gin and Apple Autumn Cocktail. But like Margot always says, it's always good to pregame, so what I did was I grabbed out a little bit of my peanut butter brandy here, whiskey, just to do a little bit of shot. Because kids, what I always say, you don't want to show up anywhere a little bit, sober. Cheers, kids. So, fabulous. Now, we have a fabulous guy behind the camera, so he is going to have a drink with me. So, this is what you're going to need for this autumn gin cocktail. Apple juice. We need Bombay Sapphire gin. Now, you can use any old gin that you want, but I prefer to get the big bottle of Sapphire. I can also work out with it, do all sorts of things with it. So, I prefer to get the big bottle. I have tequila out here for no good reason, other than just to, maybe I'll have a sip of that too. Your next ingredient is you want simple syrup. You can do this on the stove if you want with some sugar and water, but I bought it at the store. And then we have some honey, just very simple honey, and apple juice, of course. And then we have fresh lime. It calls for lime juice, but I always like fresh ingredients, so I'm going to squeeze that bitch right in there. And an apple, okay? And you want to cut your little apple up into matchsticks, which I've done just to save some time. I got all Rachel Ray on your ass. All right, kids, so here we go. Now, this drink calls for 4 ounces of gin. That's a lot of gin. So, instead of using the shot glass this time around, I'm just going to go 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. Woo! And then 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. There you go. That seems like 4 ounces to me. I don't know, but I hope so. All right. And then some apple juice. So I'm going to put about 1/4 of the amount of apple juice in there. Now, I bought this at Dave's Marketplace, so it should be nice and fresh, There we go, like that. Doesn't that look autumnal and Halloween-y already? And it does. And then you want to take your lime juice, and like I said, it's always best to use fresh ingredients. So I'm going to put my lime juice in here. And you know what I say? There's nothing more fabulous than drinking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Alright, so then I'm going to do this one. Now you really want to give it a good squeeze. And I know all the viewers out there know what I'm talking about, because we love squeezing things. Alright, and then we want our simple syrup. Here we go, just a dash of that. dash for Mr. Ken back there. And the last ingredient is honey. Your honeys are asking me to be on your show, Dee. I'm really excited about it. And so we're just gonna put the honey in there. And the last thing is we're gonna stir, okay? Stir, and stir, and stir, and stir. We don't wanna shake this. Shaking is not required. So we wanna stir for this autumnal cocktail. Oh, there we go. Alrighty, kids. Oh, the honey got a little coagulated there. That's fun. Alrighty. And the last thing we're going to do is take our apple sticks and stick them right in there. And kids, that is a gin and autumn drink. Apple autumn drink. Whatever the fuck it's called. Oh no, is it alright if I swore? Okay. Oh, but kids, I want to say the song that's been playing behind me is Little Old Rhode Island. And Little Old Rhode Island is famous for you. It's absolutely delicious. Get out to the market and make yourself this drink. The Gin and Apple Autumn Cocktail. It's fabulous. See you later, kids.
Thank you, Margot. Well. I actually can't wait to try this. It's gin in it. So
You see
how pretty it is in these nice glasses
with a little
magic
garnish.
Of television. We were able to do a little garnish.
Drink.
Very, very fall. Very fall. So
It's nice.
So
should we cheers?
So we'll cheers and take a sip. But I have some final thoughts.
Okay.
To you, thank you, Margot.
Oh my god, that's
my
great.
God. It's good.
I think it's great.
It's good. You know me. I'm a.
Y'all, I know my boyfriend's watching this. He's in recovery. I haven't really had a drink in a while because I support him. So.
But can't with Papa D tonight. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we head out, I just want to say, on my way here tonight, I had seen a lot of state troopers, and also before we went on, there were reports of a protest tonight, starting at the Providence Police Station. We have been monitoring that for a while. It is now on Broad Street in Providence, moving towards there, and it seems like things are beginning to escalate. We are in a very interesting time all across the country. Everywhere you look, there's a protest. There is highways being shut down, people rioting all across the country because of policies that have been put in place, and also because of an injustice system that has been injustice way too long. I know it is a scary time for all of us. That is why it's important for us to get out there and vote, and make sure we vote in this November to end racial discrimination, to defund police. It is important. I say to all my brothers and sisters that are out there protesting tonight in Providence, please be safe. Please be safe. With all that said, this is the Progress Report. I will definitely be on for Coffee with Dee tomorrow, everyone. I will be on tomorrow with Coffee with Dee. We're going to recap. I apologize that I haven't been on, but I will be on tomorrow so we can recap today's show. And I will be on again on Friday. And don't forget to catch Tea with Taylor this week on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yes.
Are you doing anything exciting?
No, I'm here.
You're just here?
I'll be watching next week like I usually do.
Okay. Well,
but thank you for having me. It was so great.
Thank you for being here. It was wonderful to have you, Jaden. It was wonderful to have Jaden. I love Jaden. Jaden, it's one thing I just want to do. It's one thing I want to do. Come here.
I know, they're chubby, right? You remind me of my Vava. She used to be like, oh, I could either. So cunning.
Well, with all that said, good night, Rhode Island.